Just making some room here because we're going to start cutting today. Start cutting and planning. Well, I know what the plan is, but I want to share the plan with you guys. A little more detail than the first time we talked about this when we kind of got things ready on the table. So as you can see, got the 63 Thunderbird sitting on some wooden blocks. Totally not acceptable if we plan to do any serious work to it in terms of structure or whatever. Front structure, you saw in the previous video that it was, well, collapsing. Let me bring you in over here and show you what's going on. These inner front fenders, where they tied in to this area up here, completely rotted away. The original springs were pushing the sheet metal up and out into the engine compartment area. It was a disaster. So essentially this whole gap here was all messed up. You could see when you walked up to the car, the gap was way off. So surprisingly, everything else is really good. Up front here, I've slowly been peeling away those flanges of the old engine mounts, all that has to come off so that we can install this Crown Victoria front suspension assembly cradle to the front of this bird. Gonna drastically improve handling and just the ride of this car. Get rid of the old spring geometry. Now, I was talking about these blocks here. This is just a temporary thing. In no way can we work from this. We have to string a few pieces of structural box tubing across. This was just to slide the suspension in and out and kind of test fit things, make sure everything's going to work, so that we can come up with risers and pick up on the body. Oop, come here. Oop, nope, right there. Pick up this body in specific areas so that when we start cutting the interior out a little bit, not too drastic, just a little bit, or the roof later on, yeah, we'll get to that things don't collapse in on themselves. Now this quarter panel, we're going to get into that today. I need to remove this because every time I'm working under it and I'm tapping the body, rust is just raining down. It's just coming out of these areas here. You can hear how crunchy it is. See that? Nasty. So that's all got to come out, that patchwork. And we'll just probably cut it right behind the jam. Along this feature here, there's a very subtle feature that still looks really good. Luckily, still hasn't reached that point yet. So this is just plastic filler that'll come off. And then separated here, there's multiple layers of repairs. Original lower quarter panel is in there, you can hear it. So that's going to come out. Little love bite there, got bumped somewhere. Surprisingly, quite a tough area to hit. We got hit, so we'll have to reach in and push that out. Thunderbird emblem logos, we'll see what we do with that. Now when it comes to the roof, you can see the top of that side door glass where the level is. Well, that's going to be the finish level of that window once we're done. It's not going to go up any higher, which means that roof panel up there, the drip rail, is going to come down about 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches. It's going to make a huge difference in streamlining this body style. She looks good, but that roof looks a little bit high. No problem. The challenge is going to be with that front windshield. We're not going to cut it. I don't like cutting windshields because anything ever happens, you got to find somebody to cut a new windshield for you, and that can always be quite a challenge. So we're going to take and just simply lay it down, lay it back, which will help the angle. That's not sitting in the right spot, but that'll help the angle towards that front spindle location. Quarter window, we'll have to do something about that, but we're keeping the side and rear glass together intact. We're not going to be cutting new glass. Driver's side glass got busted. I have a replacement. It's arrived, so we're good with that. And back here, let's put up a sketch, say there. we're going to fastback this back. We're going to take and when the roof comes down, pull it back, fastback it, get a fastback glass installed, and create new sail panels. Now I'm going to show you something that's best seen from the inside of the car. It'll blow your mind. This lock is going to be shaved. This button, I'm not sure if we keep it or not. If we don't, we'll have to incorporate a little release electronic, kind of like the Corvettes have. Electronic release on the back side here somewhere where you don't see it, and just keep that smooth. I know Joe will be happy if I deleted those. We'll see. This for sure is gone. This is on the chopping block maybe, and we'll incorporate something to open these doors electronically, a popper or something. I'd like to bring your attention to that spot right, here's my finger. Oh, right there. Right there. See that gap of daylight between the structure and the underside there? The thin line. That roof is not attached, or roof skin is not attached to the body at all. And that's both sides. There was a trim piece on the outside. Bring it up a little bit higher here. See the holes for the trim? And there was a caulking seam in here that has fallen out. And when the trim came off, I got this little peak of daylight. Whoa, what's that? Well, that's a sign that the roof is not attached to this car anymore. Structurally on the inside it is, outside not so much at all. So we're going to be repairing that and modifying it all at the same time. This interior part here, the reason I earlier was talking about structuring the car, we're gonna have to take and remove this tunnel area. We have to make room for, we'll drag all this out after, that unit right there. It's a T56, transmission, transaxle, differentials mounted to the back of the transmission, bell housing, torque tube, and that bolts to your bell housing at the front. And we're going to have to incorporate an adapter or 2 or 3 to make this all work out. It won't be a problem. We just have to make sure that the measurements are very precise and that everything's centered so that we don't have any funny business going on when we rev this thing up. Down here, we've got the rear suspension cradle out of a late model Mustang. And as it sits, it's not going to work with that unit there. Can you see why? That front cross member, that diff bolts up completely differently to a Corvette subframe than it does to, well, this. We're gonna have to make it work together. Not a problem either. It's all been thought out. We wouldn't be going ahead with this if we didn't have a clear direction forward. You know, some people might look at it and say, whoa, you know, you're nuts. But yeah, it could be nuts. Anyway, this front piece here is going to have to be modified, opened up, restructured so that that transmission transaxle can pass right through there. And we'll have to fabricate a brace to hold the diff in that subframe. The reason I went with this particular subframe and not a C5, C5s have a different bolt pattern than the Crown Victorias. So you have a different wheel, you know, you have to mix and match front and back. I like to keep the wheels bolt patterns the same all throughout. Keeps it simpler later on. The other thing, this whole suspension is all one unit. Yeah, you have to make a purchase up there for the spring, but the A-arms, everything's connected as a unit. C5 Corvettes, lower control arms were part of the subframe, and the upper ones had to bolt to something on the frame or on the body in this case here. So it complicates things a little more in that sense. Where we save in one spot, we have to make adjustments in others. That's okay, it's part of the game. You know, building a hot rod, right? So today, to save that grime and rust and stuff from falling down, we're going to open this up. I wanted to save this for you guys. And we will get this up on a cart in such a way it gives us room to work around it and fabricate the mount and remove that cross member so that we can make those two units work together. Once that's figured out, then we can take and slide it up inside with the torque tube, come to the front, and then determine the engine location. This subassembly here has to be moved back a few inches. It's sitting in the wrong spot. And all that is going to be based off of, listen to how that closes. Amazing. So I've developed two-dimensional scale drawings similar to the ones on the wall behind the car there, but smaller, quarter scale, that indicate center lines for spindles, front and rear, door cut lines, and at later time the roof height adjustment. First things first, we have to get it sitting on something substantial. So get the quarter off, get some pieces through here, and start setting the ride height. Right now this block is 5.5 inches, so the front can come down maybe another 1/2 inch, maybe 1 inch maximum. And to give this car the look I want, the tail is going to have to come up a little bit. So 5.5, maybe 6.5. So 5 and 6.5, we'll see. That's where we can play. Jack up the back, put that little 2x4 under there, and see how it looks at that angle. Yep. Let's get that quarter off. Now what I find helps me is to throw down some tape lines based on the feature. Let's just drop down 3/4 of an inch, because when you're standing behind that shield and just cutting, there's a big chance that you're going to wander. Patch ends there. Let's just bring it into here like that. This back here is all mishmash. Come on. Oh, look at that. See all the rust in behind the filler? What happened, even though they welded it, nice tight seam, there's a little rust hole that started here, and moisture got in and just took it right off. Now I'm just feeling this up in here. It looks good, but I can feel waves, and I'm guessing there's filler up in here as well. You see, it extends up higher. So, yeah. What we're going to do is we're going to just slice it off straight, and I'll fabricate a whole new piece to go into here. I'm going to leave the back here similar to the front. Just drop down a straight line like that, and just open this up and start exploring. Okay, let's see what we have. Oh, I better cut that yet. As I was cutting, you can see all that rust falling out. And it was continuous every time I bumped the car. And there's the mouse nests that I was dealing with earlier. I wanted to make sure that none of them were coming in here. No, that's garbage. There's a pop rivet there. Brakes, 4-thread grooves for self-adjuster, and all indicated how everything goes together. And the gentleman who owned this car, he did this for every single part that he pulled off the car. Notes everywhere. And the pencil he wrote them with. And the duct tape that was used to hold things together. So to try and fix all this, you see the rust extends way up into here. So where do you stop, you know? So this is garbage. I can't even really use it for a template. I can extrapolate from here forward. Wow, it's in bad shape. Undercoating, fresh metal. That's good. Brand new metal in there. All right, guys, so I got things sort of mocked up here. A little easier to see the placement of everything. I run a tape measure through where the half shafts would go to give us a reference point to where this cross member is and where it's going to fall from the half shafts on the diff forward, which is pretty much right there. And I have to check out and see how much clearance we can have or create. Basically all of this. We can probably reach in here, create a removable brace that goes in from underneath. We don't want it to be too low. This will be bolted to the body. And we're going to have to see if we can go up and over, keep some of that, just raise it up higher, up and over, up inside the car. So we need to see how much room we have up in there, which really isn't that much, but hey, you never know. And I guess while we're cutting and working, you can see right there, those frame rails are rusted out. So we're gonna have to open that up, replace it, and work a mount in for these right here. It's gonna work out quite well, actually. Just fix those up, do some surgery on them, and work a mount in to bolt this rear subframe in from underneath. So the whole thing will just 4 bolts like factory, undo them, drop it out. So here's the mount that bolted to the diff from the underside, and this sat on the subframe cradle of the Corvette. So we're gonna have to create something similar here. These are, I guess, exhaust hangers. We can relocate them. That's nothing. We can see what we have under there to either drop down, add, or bolt that diff or brace for that diff. A little bit of planning in this episode is going to get us going in the next one, where we actually do a whole ton of work. Right now we want to study things. That's the whole key to a project like this. You just don't dive into it. You stand back, take a look, study it, and then develop a plan of action, and away you go. You don't want to be making something and then cutting it all apart, thinking that you had the solution, make it again. Like, there are little hiccups you get along the way, but you don't want to be reworking constantly because you didn't think of something, you didn't see something right away. So that's about the size of it, literally, and that'll fit in quite nicely right there. I'm seeing something else now. Okay. From the center of the axle to the cover at the back, trying to look through the camera, it doesn't work that way. Let's give it 8 inches for clearance, 1 inch space. 8 inches puts us there. Okay, so we need to change 2 cross members because we're going from the center line that way. Okay, good. So now we know. So off of this table, we'll get some box tubing going. Come up, pick up these areas here, make sure everything's rigid, jigged, and then we'll take sections out and rework that so that once we're done, you look at it once it's painted, it'll look like a factory piece. We're not going to have angle iron and stuff hanging off. Okay, and the other thing we can look at is how much damage we have to do on the inside. So I'm going to go get a quick dimension from the door's cut line to the center line of the axle. Measure from the center line of this axle, the half shafts there, forward to see where that bell housing lies inside the car. This is the exciting part, guys. Fabricating, that's boring stuff. Measuring, making sure everything works, that's the most crucial. Now, I've got a mark there. Let's double check it. 28.875. Yep, we're good there. Now, from here, we're just going to drop down. This is just an approximation because I want to know where we're going to lie on the inside to cut. And that's a center point. From center, call this bolt here. Let's give it some room. 30 inches. We're going to have a shifter that comes out of there. That shifter location won't work anymore, I don't think, but we'll never know until we see. Let's call it 30 inches of clearance for the floor from the center line of the axles. I know people mentioned to me earlier, like, show us the process of getting started on something like this. We love metal shaping and all that stuff, but show us what goes into the beginnings of the project. I might even do an illustration with you guys. Okay, so that's 30 inches. Ooh, hey, ooh, hey, ooh. That's good, actually. Let's bring you guys in, show you. So measure back 28, drop down, move forward on the table. Now all this is going to change because this has to be all jigged properly. We come up through here and you can see this hoop through the floor. That's a structural brace for the car so it doesn't fold in on itself at the back here. We need to cut it and move it or remove it, which is okay. Yeah, we'll make a fresh one. Just take and shift the whole thing forward here. Since it's only going to be a 2-seater, our bell housing tunnel, what they have in the front, you basically have to start from here and kick up, ooh, to that feature right there. That looks like a good spot. Just make a whole new tunnel piece, maybe wider. It'll have to be wider, but that's about the height we need to climb. Maybe a bit higher. We'll see. But yeah. We need to figure out the width of that. Come into here and just basically make a clean cut right through the floor, right in front of that. I don't know if we can rework this beam in depending on the integrity of the underside, see if it's still intact, or we can fabricate a whole new piece that go into there. The console ended up here, which is perfect because, yeah, we can end the console and that'll butt right into that cover. Boom. I like that. Okay. So I don't think we're going to cut this today. The reason why? You know the reason. We need to brace it. Love how that closes. Wow, gives me goosebumps. All right, guys, this episode was a whole lot of planning, but now we have a direction forward. What needs to be done? So what we're going to do next time, whole lot of work. Get this thing braced, jigged up on the table, center cut out of the tunnel, get the rear subframe assembly modified, get this transmission mocked up, and hopefully up into place, the whole thing in there. If you enjoyed this episode, give us a thumbs up. If you're new to our channel, want to see more of this, mash the subscribe button and get updates next time we have videos coming out. And share our videos with your friends. Show them what we're up to. Until next time, guys, take care. Ford undercoating. That's going to be fun to strip out.